afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the beehive. I'm sorry about the noise. The neighbours have got their grandchildren round, and children will be children. But anyway, we'll go ahead and we'll try. I'm sitting in the garden looking at all the flowers, thinking the weeds are taking over these flowers a bit. And I think my dog agrees with me. She's looking at me saying, "Come on, mother, sort yourself out." So my point is, I'm sure we've all got better things to do. But sometimes in life you have to take time out and have a serious conversation. What sort of country are we living in at the moment? We are living in a country that is very divisive and very split. Now, the older ones of you will know that growing up, you were 90% safe. No country is 100% safe. But, community was important. You could play out, and your parents knew that other people would keep an eye on you, as your parents did in return for them. And we had all sorts of different type of music, all different types of fashion. We have freedom of speech. And we were really lucky. We just didn't realise it at the time. And then we have the 30-year-olds that have never experienced that. And personally, I'd like them to know what that would be like and what that feels like. Then we have our children, our grandchildren, our nieces, our nephews, our cousins that are innocent in this. They don't have a voice and they don't have a choice, because at the moment they're just being children, and that's the way it should be. But parents don't feel safe to let their children play out because of what's going on in the country. Now, if we look at the left, they are very, very sorted out. They know how to play politics. You have the Liberal Democrats, the Greens, New Labour, to an extent, a lot of Islamist MPs. Now, they all want power, but they know how to get power. They get in bed together for a common goal, to be either an Islamic country and not a Christian country anymore, or a communist country where you work hard, have nothing, and be happy. You don't have freedom of speech. They have full power and full control over every aspect of your life. And eventually, to the point, you won't even have the right to vote. Then we look at the right-hand side of politics. The Kemi Badenochs and the Conservatives. Yes, they let us down for 14 years. But there are still a handful of good people within that party. You have the Nigel Farages and the Reform that done Brexit. And once the vote was over, he decided, the leader of that party, Nigel, to go off and do his own thing. So we never had Brexit, not really. Sort of half in and half out. And then we have a new party, up and coming party, called Restore, with Rupert Lowe. Now, a good businessman that has run successful businesses. All credit to him. He done herself funded with the help of the public on a grooming gang inquiry. But his wording, I think, needs to be moderated. Now, he's right in what he says and what the party says. Thousands must go. The ones that can't follow the rules, the ones that don't want to contribute, and the ones that don't want to immigrate. Yes, he's right, they must go. But, you know, I think he needs to speak to the young team around him and understand that words matter. So we're quite divided on the right side of politics, and I think that's mainly down to massive egos. So how do we sort this out? Sorry, scared the life out of you lot. How do we sort this out? Well, maybe we start to look at the bigger picture. Maybe those egos need to be put in the drawer. And these politicians need to understand you're not entitled to our vote. You have to earn our vote. And we are in such a mess that the only way forward at the moment is to unite. To sit around the table and decide what party has got the most chance at the moment of winning a general election. Once that's agreed, they all get behind that party, but with provisos. This is what we all want. This is what we all need. This is what the country needs, and this is how it must be. Then, once we've won a general election and people have voted, hopefully, with it in mind that we want to be a democratic country, not a communist one, we can start getting the country back on the right track, start growing the economy, start building our military so we can defend the country, having stronger borders. Yes, a country needs immigration, but controlled immigration, not a free-for-all, or anyone that wants to come in can just cross the channel, and that's fine. You'll be put up in a nice hotel, given spending money, new phone, anything you want. Now, a lot of people may think, well, that's okay. It may be okay at the moment, but eventually it will be coming to your doorstep. So once we've sort of got the country back on track and we've got all those things in place and sorted out the infrastructure, the cost of living crisis, the military, then those parties can get on the right, can take their egos back out of the drawer, and it won't matter so much. They can battle it out between themselves who is going to be the future Prime Minister of the country, because we won't be in such a dangerous place. But the politicians must never forget they're not entitled to our vote, they earn our votes. Why do I feel so strongly about this? Because, you see, I have grandchildren, and I want my grandchildren to have the sort of future that I grew up in. And maybe a message to the politicians, the likes of Rupert Lowe, the likes of Nigel Farage, the likes of Kemi Badenoch, Do you want your grandchildren or great-grandchildren to look back and say, do you know what? I'm really proud of my ancestors. They done the right thing and they put country first. Or do you want them to look back and remember you as egotistical people that didn't really care about the future generations and they didn't put their country first? And then your grandchildren or great-grandchildren are brought up in some type of hellhole, some type of nightmare where all their freedoms have gone. They don't really know who they are and where they came from because the culture's gone. They're not allowed to be proud of their flag. So really, they're lost. I don't want that for innocent children at the moment that have no say in their future. So, and then you have people out there, members of the public, that say, oh, it's got to be reformed. Oh no, it's got to be restored. You even have some that say, maybe if we work hard, it can be conservative again. You know, we all need to have a long, hard look at the bigger picture. At the moment, we're not in a position to say we want our own way. All our own way. It's got to be one party or no other. We're not in a position anymore for that. Parties must unite and work together. And then in the future they can have that, but not now. Now, what do I know? There are people out there a lot better placed than me to talk about this subject. All I can do is a member of the public, as a mother, as a grandmother. All I can do is give my opinion, speak out and say, do you know what? I want my grandchildren to look back on me with pride and say, she tried to do the right thing. My grandmother spoke up for me and she spoke up for my future. And no matter what the outcome, at least she tried. So all I'm asking is that the politicians on the right and the people out there that have got all their eggs in one basket, either restore or reform, just look at the bigger picture. This isn't about us. This is about the future of our children and the future of our country. Remember the ones that our fallen fought for. And the last thing I'd like to say is, to the people that say refugees welcome here, call us racists, call us far right, call us fascists. If I walked up to you and said, could I stay in your home for a couple of days, please? I'm sure you'd say, well, I'm very sorry, but no, I don't know who you are. Why do you think these people that enter the country via the channel throw their passports away? This should worry you. You say they're refugees, but how do you know that? How do you know they're not terrorists? They're not economic migrants? How do you know that they're not just coming over here for a year's holiday to stay in a hotel, get everything for free, and then go back home again? You don't, because we don't know who they are. And you seem to really have a serious problem with our flag and the flags of this country. You don't mind the Palestinian ones, you don't mind the rainbow ones, but our flag, there's a problem. So if you went on holiday to a different country and you saw the flag of that country, maybe Spain, Italy, wherever you are, do you look at their flag with such disgust and think, how dare you fly the flag of your own country? Because if you really dislike our flag, you really dislike our culture, you really dislike everything this country was built on and stands for, then why do you stay if you hate it so much? Please just think about that. We need everyone to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Anyway, I'm sure we've all got things to do. So take care, look after one another, and most of all, look out for those innocent children out there, the ones that have no say. Ta-ta for now.